This is a 1990 EA Falcon, and this is got to be one of the most interesting cars to me that I have had on this channel. And that is for two reasons. Minor reason is that it is a very, very good condition EA Falcon, and that alone is pretty rare. You do not see many of these anymore in good nick at all. But the second thing that is way, way more interesting is this is not just any EA, it is an EA Brock. That's right, this is the EA Falcon that Peter Brock worked on. Crazy rare, guys, like honestly astonishingly rare. It's got such a cool story, so I really want to talk about it. But let's just quickly go through the running gear and everything. We have at the time Ford's new multi-port injection, inline 6 intake motor, fuel injected, all of that fancy stuff. This one making 165 kilowatts, and that is very good for what it is, and we'll come back to that later. There was meant to be 500 of these made, but really they only ended up making 126 of these, either in automatic, which this one is, or a 5-speed manual. So let's have a quick look around this car, and it's very, very cool. Now this car followed the same formula that a lot of the other HDTs followed, and that is, let's put on a body kit. It's got some extractors and some other running gear tweaks, which again we'll go through later. It's got some bigger sway bars, it's got some interesting suspension. Again, we'll go through that later. And body kit and stuff, like it really does follow the same formula as all of the other Peter Brock cars, like the Blue Meanie, the VL, and really, really interesting car. In 1990, when this was released, Holden's and Peter Brock's relationship was well and truly over. In late 1987, they did break up due to two things. One is the energy polarizer in the VL Commodore, and the other is Peter Brock bringing IRS to the VL Director. Those two things really strained their relationship, and they let go. But Peter Brock was determined to continue, working on cars, and this is the result. Now, this was never really an official Ford product. However, Ford did not protest these being made, as you would, that they were very happy to have Peter Brock's name attached to anything Ford. Now this one is based on the EA S-Pack. Not all of the Peter Brock EAs were an S-Pack, so that's quite interesting. So it seems like, from the little information that's online, it's actually quite hard to find, but it seems like there is a ute, a wagon, and there are a few Fairmont gears, but obviously this one is an S-Pack, and I think the majority of them are S-Packs. Just like this one. And the other thing that's worth noting is they are different colors. A lot of other Brocks usually might only come in one color, like the Blue Meanie. I looked online and there was this color, there are some silvers and some reds, but I reckon this color is really nice. It's like a dark blue, not really a black if it looks like that on camera, but yeah, it looks great. And the interior is a lot different than I actually expected, if I'm honest. For example, we have this awesome leather wrapped steering wheel. I also do admit that I'm not as familiar with EA or EB S-Packs in here, so forgive me if I say the wrong thing, but the interior is really, really unique. I love this like red and white striped door cards and interior, and these are made by Paratus, and they are really, really hugging it. Just like any of the other VRVS Club Sports, or probably VN Club Sport is this car's, closest rival. But one thing that's also really cool is the radio is, it's no secret that Holden and Ford shared a lot of parts. I mean, like this headlight switch and the radio is all the same, but it is really cool that the radio actually says Brock on it. And I can imagine that that is worth an absolute fortune. The other thing that's really cool is the Peter Brock signature on the glove box, as well as that build number that I showed you before. They were a bit optimistic with that build number. There was not that many made, so again, around 126, 127 were made, so it's a little bit tricky to know exactly. The other thing that's unique to this car is the dash cluster. I'm really surprised they went to that effort, because they didn't do that in a lot of the other VL VKs, so that's pretty cool. Other than that, it is a pretty normal Falcon in here. Obviously, we've got aircon and all of that kind of stuff, or everything that you would expect. And I want to show you under the bonnet though, because this is actually really quite interesting what's under there. So talking about the running gear for a second, this is really special. 165 kilowatts this is making, up from 139. I mean, that is a pretty significant upgrade. So it has extractors, it has this free flow air intake. It was dyno tuned back in the day. Like, that is a significant upgrade. And I have a sneaking suspicion that they hit that number on purpose, because 165 is the exact number that the Holden 5 litre was making. And if we have a look on the little build plate, these cars were actually nicknamed the B8. And that is for two reasons. One, it is the 8th generation of the Brock cars, B8, and also because it rhymes with V8. probably referencing the Holden V8, so the 165 kilowatts. So that's really interesting. And there are also some pretty minor suspension changes, like we got some bigger sway bars. And these engines, however, are very good. They really are excellent engines. They're very reliable. They're really, really good. And this engine bay does have a few little Brock things. We have a little stick here that says Brock Quality Control Approved. There are some Peter Brock tags all over. And one thing that's interesting about the B8 one is it looks like it's been almost hand engraved, which is pretty cool. Overall, it is very cool to drive. I mean, man, this car drives so smooth, and I've got someone sitting in the back seat too, and even though these are the sort of sporty seats up front, the back seat's really comfy too, which is great. And getting to experience one like in such good condition is so cool. And I know there'll be a few people out there that think, why we're driving a Ford when this is a Holden or Channel and all that stuff, but you got to remember, without one we wouldn't have the other. This car is really special. It's part of the Peter Brock story, and it deserves much more attention than it probably gets. I think a lot of people will not even know that this car exists, and it was one of the last of the Peter Brock runs, and before Tickford, and yeah, really interesting stuff. And there's so much one-off and interesting stuff with this car that I'm sure I've forgotten something. So if I have, please feel free to let me know in the comments below, because yeah, there is a few interesting things about this, and I'm sure I've forgotten something. And in terms of speed, look, I feel like the manual would go a lot harder. It's not slow though. It really isn't terrible. It's not. I'm not doing power skids at 100 k's, that's for sure. But it's fine. It really is. And in the context of being 35 years old, I think it's doing pretty well. All right, we're in an 80 zone, which is close enough. I'll stop. There's no one behind us. So we are in performance mode. And there's our 80. I also have to say, it actually sounds really good. It's probably one of the best sounding Falcons that I've ever driven. Again, that's probably one of my only critiques. And the Holden V6 is the same. They're not great sounding engines. Very reliable, very good engines. Don't sound the best, but this one sounds great. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've really enjoyed my time with something so unique and special. And like I said in the video, it's a really interesting piece of Australian motoring history, and just a really good look into what what was going on in Holden in the 90s and Ford. And I'm very, very grateful that I was able to spend some time with one, and not just any one, such a good one, because they're really hard to find now, and they're actually worth quite a bit of money. So I really, really appreciate it. And if you guys would like your car on the channel, then please feel free to get in touch. Otherwise, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.